You're listening to Lexington Community Radio, WLXU 93.9, and this is Bike Talk.
Hi, I'm your host, Wanda Bertram. Today we are joined by Pam Thomas. She's the president of the Bluegrass Cycling Club, and Randy Thomas. He's the former president of the club and chair of the Bluegrass Bike Partners. Hey, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. You're most welcome. And today we're going to be talking about the Bluegrass Cycling Club. And before we get into talking about the club specifically, Randy and Pam, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how it's so coincidental that you have the same last name?
Well, Randy and I are married, and we've both been involved with the cycling club for quite a long time. Randy was the president a few years ago, and I'm the president now, and we've been involved with various committees. We've both been chair of the Horsey Hundred, which is the biggest fundraising event for the club. And so we spend a lot of time cycling and on cycling related activities.
Yeah, and it's just a big part of our lives now. And I think about how many friends we've made. I mean, talk about one of the benefits is there's obvious benefits of getting to ride together and having routes planned out and getting to see places you've never seen before and all that. But I think about just all the wonderful friends that we have now that we've made through cycling and people that you would not have gotten to know in another way because, you know, you didn't have the same kind of work background or you didn't go other places together. And so it got a diverse group of people, and it's been one of the most wonderful things about being a part of the club.
And it's a very social club. There's a number of different aspects that we'll get into. Can you tell me a little bit about the club itself, a little bit about the history and the membership, the club in general?
Well, the club has been around since the early 70s in one form or another. It was originally called the Bluegrass Wheelmen, and we changed to the Bluegrass Cycling Club sometime a while back. We have just a little over 900 members. And not all of the people are active, but a lot of people are. And generally speaking, we do some social events and some education events in the winter, but we have rides at multiple locations every day during the ride season, which begins March 1st and ends at the end of October.
And I think one of the reasons the club has grown so much is because of the social aspect of it. Opportunities to ride too. One of the things that we have changed used to say Bluegrass Cycling Club and it would say Lexington, Kentucky. And of course, we're proud that we're in Lexington, but we have members all throughout the Bluegrass region. So we're actually removing Lexington from our logo, not because anything about Lexington, but it doesn't really represent who we are. Well, this is a club that is a regional club, and we have members from all over, and we have rides from all over. So we have rides in Franklin County, we have rides in Woodford County, we have rides in Bourbon County and Clark County and so on. So we really are a bluegrass cycling club, and there's lots of opportunities for people to ride, and that's really helped expand. But people just have a lot of fun at those as well.
So what are some of the other benefits? It sounds like, I know as a member, it's a lot of fun getting to meet people and be part of a group.
Well, you don't have to be a member to ride with the Bluegrass Cycling Club. You can come out to any of our rides as a non-member and ride with us. But if you are a member, you get some special benefits. We have an insurance policy, and you're covered by our insurance policy. And as a member, you get to vote on club policies and other things that we do. We have a couple of membership meetings over the year, you know, where members can weigh in on policy, and you could be a member of our board or one of our committees.
Yeah, and one of the practical benefits of being a member is you are covered by our insurance, and if somebody has an accident, it's secondary insurance. But and unfortunately, or fortunately for them, in the case where they did get injured, we've had people who have been able to benefit from that secondary insurance picking up costs that they would have otherwise had to bear themselves. And for $20 individual or $30 a year, it's pretty cheap. They also get a lot of other benefits. We have a banquet at the beginning of the year that celebrates really all of last year, and we subsidize half of the cost of that. And then we have all these social events all throughout the year, so people get to participate in those, you know, at a very small cost from a membership standpoint.
And the thing about the cycling club, too, is that you don't have to be a person that wears spandex and rides really fast. We have rides for everybody. We have rides for people that wear their tennis shoes and they have cruiser bikes. We also have rides for the people that have, wear spandex and ride really fast. But the perception shouldn't be that we only do that, because we also have rides that just ride on the Legacy Trail. We have rides that people like to stop and take pictures and have drinks. And so it's a big variety of people with a big variety of goals and abilities.
So if someone is a beginner and they're just starting to ride a bike, the Bluegrass Cycling Club might be a good place to learn.
Yeah, we like to help people learn how to ride bikes, and we have novice rides, which are for new people, and we help them learn how to ride with other people, how to be safe on the road, where to ride and stay safe, how to signal, how to stop, and things like that.
Yeah, we do want to encourage people to learn to ride as a group. And that's one of the things I know when Pam and I both started, we were athletes, we were runners, we had ridden bikes, we knew how. So it's not like we didn't know how to ride bikes, but it really was something different to be in a group. And it might be a dozen people, it might be a little more. But anyway, you were the group and learning how that you actually function as a group, regardless of your ability to actually ride your bike. And then we do have people that are just, haven't ridden much and they're tenuous about riding on the roads. And so we help them too. So we have rides for every level. And we've always wanted to, and if somebody has an idea, because they had somebody several years ago say, well, can you have a leisure ride? Well, what's a leisure ride? Well, we really don't care about the pace and we just want to meander around and we want to stop and take pictures or we want to stop at the store and do that. Well, sure. If you put together and you want to lead that ride, absolutely. So if there is a desire for it and people willing to do it, the club's always been willing to make those things happen for people.
And what I've discovered is that there truly is something for everyone, and no one has to worry about being left behind in their group or having a flat tire and not getting help, because the club provides what we call ride leaders.
Right. All of our rides have ride leaders, and depending on the pace, the ride leaders do different things. But in general, yes, you don't have to worry about being by yourself. If you don't know how to change a flat tire, there will be someone there that does know how. Now you need to have your own tube with you and some air supply, but there's always somebody there that will help you learn how to do it. Or if you don't want to learn how to do it, who will do it for you. But that's one of the really nice things too about riding with other people, is there's always someone to help you.
And that's one of the ride leads is one of the things that the club has really concentrated on much more, I'd say, over the past, 5 or 6 years, or maybe a little longer, where we actually have a formalized process where people become ride leaders. Because we want people to have an expectation when they come to arrive at the Bluegrass Cycling Club about how they are going to be treated and how the ride's going to go, that there won't be surprises, that they will be taken care of. It is. And I don't care what the pace is. Our fastest pace is called EF, which means experienced and fast, but we're not going to leave somebody out there on their own either. Even though you're supposed to be able to survive on your own, nobody's going to be left out there and you're going to be taken care of. And if you don't have equipment, like an extra tube or something, ride leaders always make sure that they have those things. So yeah, it's one of the areas that we've really concentrated on so that riders have a good experience no matter where they go on a Bluegrass Cycling Club ride.
All right. Well, we're going to take a short break, so stay tuned in. We'll be right back with Randy and Pam Thomas with the Bluegrass Cycling Club. Welcome back to Bike Talk on Lexington Community Radio. I'm your host, Wanda Bertram, and today we're joined by Pam Thomas. She's the president of the Bluegrass Cycling Club, and with her is Randy Thomas. He's a former president of the club, and he's chair of the Bluegrass Bike Partners. And we've talked a little bit about the club, what it is and its membership, some of its benefits, that it's a regional organization, and a big part of that regionality is its partnerships in the community, one of which is the Bluegrass Bike Partners. So, Randy, would you mind talking a little bit about the Bluegrass Bike Partners and how they benefit cyclists?
Thank you. The Bluegrass Bike Partner program is something that I started when I was president of Midway Renaissance in Midway. And it was an idea that really born out of needing to go to the bathroom. and as I'm telling you, because and Midway's a wonderful town, and if you've ever been out there, you know that we have a lot of tourists, but there was no public restroom facilities, and people like to come out there and ride their bike or ride through there, but there was no place that they could actually even stop and use the restroom. So, I mean, I sort of joke about that, but that really was kind of part of it. It's like, well, what if I approach these local businesses, say, hey, would you become a Bluegrass Bike Partner? And then, cyclists, they need to stop. They need to come in. They need to use a restroom. Or if they need to use the phone, they know it's a friendly place. They can come in and you're going to say, sure, go ahead and do that. And that was so kind of the roots of it. But it's really expanded into, it was going to be originally thinking about businesses. Had a practical aspect where you could actually go into this business. And it quickly became, we had people in Midway, for example, where we do the Midway ride at Midway Christian Church every Wednesday night, is they said, well, we'd like to be a partner, and we're not a business. And it's like, well, absolutely. So it evolved into a partnership between all kinds of organizations or groups. Frankfort Regional Hospital is a Bluegrass Bike Partner. And, we've got convenience stores that are bike partners. Well, those are places that we encourage our riders to stop at, give them business. We have businesses like Lextro in Lexington that are members of our club too. So it's not really necessarily a place that somebody's going to be riding their bike by. It's a recognition that there's lots of benefits for businesses to advertise themselves as bicycle friendly. So we are trying to expand throughout not just the Bluegrass region, but actually throughout Kentucky. They'd be identified by a sticker, a Bluegrass Bike Partner sticker on their window potentially, but we have a website. The Bluegrass Cycling Club website also has a tab or a section of that, the Bluegrass Bike Partners, and we have a Facebook page so people can go on there and see. And there's a map. We have ideas about how really to expand that so you can have an app on your phone. At some point, we hope to be able to do that where you could just click, you're out somewhere, I need to stop someplace. City Hall and Stamping Ground is a Bluegrass Bike Partner. So again, it's expanded into areas that I originally didn't think about that, but it's a partnership. One of the things that we've concentrated over the past few years is really looking at bike-friendly communities. And I mentioned Midway. It's a bike-friendly community. I mean, the city government there is a strong supporter of ours. Same thing in Stamping Ground. The mayor of Stamping Ground contacted me a couple of years ago and said, we want to be a partner. We've had that in other communities, Georgetown, Winchester. So it's really become a much bigger and different thing, which is terrific than I kind of originally started with. It was a place that you could stop in, become a partnership and recognizing the importance of that. Because though even people don't ride their bike, they may appreciate that we are and that, we're in this together.
Yeah, because I may not ride a bike, but I know someone who does, right? So Bluegrass Bike Partners, they identify themselves with a sticker in the window. So if a cyclist see that, they know they're welcome to come in, use the restroom, fill up their water bottle, take a break if they need, get out of the rain if they need to. If someone wants to be a bike partner, and you mentioned that the Bluegrass Cycling Club really encourages its members and all the cyclists in the community to also partner with these organizations and visit them. How would someone become a bike partner?
Well, there are several ways. You could go to the Bluegrass Cycling Club website and go to the section with Bluegrass Bike Partners, and you can actually submit a request to become a bike partner, and it's really simple. You really just have to agree to certain things. It's not going to cost anybody anything, and it's just that you've got to be identify yourself as and there are places that may not have a public restroom. They list their times that they're open. We've actually placed some toolkits out around some locations as well that were remote. Like there's no bike shop near, actually in Midway, there's no bike shop in Stamping Ground and so on. So we'd actually placed some toolkits out there where there would be an extra, spare tube or a bike pump or something like that for people. And so those are identified on the site too. You can go to our Facebook page. They could send a message, and it's bluegrassbikepartners@gmail.com too that they can send an email to.
So anyone at downtown Lexington, a store, a hair salon, it doesn't matter what kind of business you are, you're wanted as a Bluegrass Bike Partner.
That's absolutely right. And again, it's a lot of us is public relations. It's that, that we're all a part of this community, that all cyclists come from all walks of lives and interests. And so if you want to be a partner with us, it's very simple. It doesn't cost you anything. We're not saying that you have to offer discounts or anything like that. That's something that some states have done, like Oregon. They actually have a sponsored program is similar to that, and those businesses apply and they give discounts and all that. And this is just done through our club, and so people are not committing to anything other than to be bike friendly. So we encourage anybody to do that. And then, of course, we encourage all our members or any cyclists to support those businesses and those organizations that have identified themselves as bike friendly.
So we have Bluegrass Bike Partners out there all over central Kentucky. Randy said he's looking at making it statewide. But back here in our region, there's a lot going on this season. Out on the road, people know where to stop. They can go online, see where the Bluegrass Bike Partners are. Can you tell us a little bit about the rides that are going on with the Bluegrass Cycling Club?
Well, yes, we have a calendar, a ride calendar. Our ride season started at the beginning of March, and it will go through the end of October. So pretty much a big part of the year is going to be covered. And we do have a ride calendar on our website, bgcycling.net. And you can go and click on that and see where the rides are. And there will be a description of the ride, the pace groups offered, what time the ride starts, how long the rides are, and you can get all the information you need. And there's also a contact number there for the ride leader, so that if you are unsure about whether you should come or what you should do or what you should bring, you can always contact the ride leader and ask. And our ride leaders are really good about, responding and helping people who might be new or unsure or have questions.
Well, wonderful. Well, we're going to take another short break, and we'll be right back with Pam Thomas and Randy Thomas. Welcome back to Bike Talk on Lexington Community Radio. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Wanda Bertram. Today we're joined by Pam Thomas, president of the Bluegrass Cycling Club, and Randy Thomas. He's a former president and he's chair of Bluegrass Bike Partners, among many other things. And we were talking about riding around the region. And Randy, can you give us an example? If someone has never been on a BCC ride before and they want to go out to say Midway and ride on Wednesday night at the ride, what can they expect?
That's a great question. And as Pam mentioned earlier, all our rides are on a calendar on Bluegrass Cycling Club website, which you can just Google, or it's bgcycling.net. And it will have on there, and you can see every day there's rides listed. Prominent on that front page there too will be over, like it's a 10-day period, you can see all the rides, and you can click on those and you can get information. I lead the Midway ride every Wednesday, March through October. And you go in there, you get general information. One of the things that the club did too was come up with specific guidelines for pace groups. So starting with the C pace group, it's 10 to 12 miles an hour. Then you go to BC, that's 12 to 14, and so on. So you can get an idea what the average pace is going to be for there. The ride description will also tell you what kind of factor in things like terrain. So if riding, you can ride 14 mile an hour average on the Legacy Trail is different than going to a really hilly area, say in Frankfort, or even get out into Midway where it's hillier, you may not be riding at that pace. So you adjust where the pace group that you would ride with. A really good way to also get specific information is through our Facebook page. It's almost up to the minute. For example, every Wednesday morning for the Midway ride, and all our ride leaders are doing that now that I know of, is that they're posting the day of their ride, the actual route that night. In the case of Midway, we have 6 different groups, and I'll put the links to the map in there, and people that have computers where they can download those too, or they can just see, okay, here's what we're doing tonight. Oh, we're going to go up Clifton Hill tonight, or we're going up Duncan, or we're going to do this. And so they might adjust their expectations, because sometimes people go out, well, I'm going to drop back a pace group tonight because I don't want to climb up Clifton tonight, for example. So that's really a great way to see. And I think all the ride leaders Pam, aren't they doing that now? Where you can actually see what you're going to do that day. So that's the best way to get the information.
And you had mentioned in a prior segment that if someone does have any questions, they can go to the events calendar, and the ride leaders are posted, and it has their contact information. They can email them, or they can call them with any kinds of questions or concerns that they have.
Yes, that's correct. They can contact the ride leader. And usually our rides have one main ride leader, and then they have separate ride leaders for each pace group. So there isn't just one ride leader at a ride. There's usually 6 or 7 of them. But the main ride leader is always listed, and sometimes the pace group ride leaders are too. But yeah, they'll take care of any questions that people may have.
And as a main ride leader, I get lots of calls every year from somebody who says, I'm thinking about coming out to Midway. Or we actually get a lot of visitors that people here for a short period of time, or they're back visiting and or just passing through. And I've been contacting me, well, tell me more about the ride and your pace groups, and where would I ride? And so we'll talk about that. I always encourage them then to get there early, come up and see me, and then I'll introduce them to their ride leader that night, and they'll too. That's something we always try to do at the start of every ride. We'll start about 10 minutes early making announcements, and we'll ask if we had any new riders there that night, if they're new to riding with the club or new riding at there, and do you know who you're going to ride with? And again, make sure that the group that they're going to ride with, they talk to the ride leader, that they know what's going to be expected, what's expected of them. And that helps the ride leader to know, oh, this is a new rider that maybe doesn't have as much experience, so I'm going to give them a little extra attention, or ask someone else in the group that's an experienced rider to say, will you kind of stay with them and make sure, that they're okay.
Yes. And one thing too that I might add to that is some people are surprised at the timing of the rides a little bit. And what I mean by that is when the ride is posted for 9:00, it doesn't mean show up at 9:00, right?
It certainly doesn't mean show up at 9:00. In fact, if the ride is posted at 9:00, depending on what your pre-ride routine is, you'll probably want to be there 15 or 20 minutes early. And that's especially true if it's your first time, because it is a good idea to make sure that the ride leader knows that you're new. You shouldn't just try to fit in and figure it out, because it's much better if people know, because then they're better able to assist you. But that gives you time to get your bike ready and to check your tires and to put your shoes on and to do all of the pre-ride things you need to do. It's really difficult if you get there 5 minutes before, because then you just really don't have time to do things. And the ride generally isn't going to wait.
No, the ride doesn't wait. People are ready to hit the road. So when a ride says it's posted for 9:00, it means people are leaving at 9:00. So they need to get there, 20 minutes, 15 minutes early to get their bike down, get geared up, use the bathroom if they need to with their Bluegrass Bike Partner.
That's another important thing to look at on the rides too, because there are some rides that start in locations that do not have restroom facilities. So it is important to check that out if you're one of those kind of folks, and figure out if there's a convenience store you can stop at on the way there. Most of them will have restroom facilities, but if they don't, it'll say that.
Another important aspect about the Bluegrass Cycling Club is that it's a very large club, an incredibly active club, but it's an all-volunteer organization.
Yes, everything that we do is run by volunteers. And when you think about it, it's pretty amazing. I think maybe we'll talk about this a little bit more later, but our big fundraising event is the Horsey 100, and we have over 2,000 visitors from across the country here with us, and that is completely volunteer run. And as best I know, in looking at clubs of our size across the country, most of them have at least some staff that get paid. So I think it's a testament to our members and everybody that is involved in our committees. I think we've got 12 different committees that do different things within our club that help it all run, plus a board of directors that consists of 12 people. But every single person involved is a volunteer, and most of our volunteers volunteer for more than one thing.
Talking about some of those other activities, it's a very social club as well. There's so many things going on, even in the wintertime.
So I know we have a social committee, and they're very social, which is why they're on the social committee. So they had a couple of bowling events and a couple of movie events this winter. And every now and then folks get together for a happy hour. You know, it's more sort of casual where something will go out on Facebook and say, well, everybody's going to be somewhere tonight. And if you want to come, you know, join us and things like that. And that really is one of the nicer things about the club. We also do some education sessions in the winter. So there's no bike riding involved, but people just get together to learn about a particular topic that is relevant to, you know, cycling or something cycling related.
Yeah, and there are events all year long. And just to be clear, that we really talk about our main ride season being from March through October, and it's really a lot to do with daylight savings and just availability of time to ride. So during that time, we have rides every evening. Well, we get into November and until we get to the daylight savings time in March, it's basically weekend, but you'll still see events or rides posted on the calendar. And we really encourage people to do that too, because all the rides that are official rides on our calendar are covered by our insurance. And people can also on Facebook just say, hey, tomorrow's going to be nice. You know, the weather's going to be nice and it's January 15th and it's 60 degrees and we're going to meet at the trailhead at Legacy Trail and ride, for example. And they will say, well, that's not an official club ride, so it's not covered by insurance. But it's, again, a way for people to have access to a group of people instead of, you know, calling around saying, hey, can you ride? And people will show up and do that.
We also have club members that plan trips outside of this area. We've had several of those over the past few years, people that have done like the Katy Trail or the Natchez Trail, some other trails that are different places, and the Gap Trail. So we've had club members that have organized and coordinated trips like that I know a lot of people have gone on and had a great time.
And in addition to that, during the official cycling season throughout the year, the Bluegrass Cycling Club hosts some very large rides too. I can think of two in particular.
Well, as I mentioned a little bit earlier in this segment, the Horsey Hundred is our biggest fundraiser for our club, and it's also the biggest organized ride in Kentucky. We have over 2,000 riders that come from across the country. We have a big contingent that comes from Canada, a big contingent that comes from Michigan every year. And all of our club members volunteer. It takes over 300 volunteers to make it happen. We have other people that help us out with volunteering too. But on that weekend, which is Memorial Weekend, there are cyclists everywhere in the Bluegrass.
Yeah, just the Horsey Hundred is really one of the largest rides in the country. And it's all volunteer, and it's amazing. The club meets year round, basically, with a large group. We have 25 or 26 people on the planning committee taking care of every aspect of it. So it's an event. That's one of the things that we now say. It's not a ride, it's an event. And there's a whole lot more to it than just that. So yeah, and the other ride that it's not all that big, but it's it's actually the oldest ride in the club. It's the Red River Rally that's now in its, Patrick will kill me, but it's like I think this year's the 45th year. I should know that off the top of my head. But so that club is old. That ride at the gorge is older than the Horsey Hundred. Just logistically, we can't handle thousands of people down there, but it's anybody can ride it, but it's really kind of the end of year celebration for the club too. It's a wonderful time. The gorge is a great place to ride your bike. A lot of people are now making a whole weekend out of it. So it's just it's a great way to finish off the year.
And the Horsey Hundred has really become a regional event with regard to the participation of local communities. Georgetown is wonderful. Their tourism folks work with us. The mayor works with us. He comes every year and kicks the event off. The police chief there is wonderful. They have a collaborative agreement with all of the police departments in the surrounding areas, and so they all collaborate to help make our riders safe that weekend out on the roads with extra patrol cars and police presence at big intersections and things like that. So it's really turned into an event that has brought the community together outside of cycling to support cycling, which is really nice.
Truly a regional organization having a lot of impact on a lot of communities. We're going to take another short break now, and we'll be back with you in a few moments. Welcome back to Bike Talk on Lexington Community Radio. I'm your host, Wanda Bertram. Today we're joined by Pam Thomas, president of the Bluegrass Cycling Club, and Randy Thomas. He heads the Bluegrass Bike Partners, among many other activities that he spearheads and is involved in the club. Pam, you have worked very diligently on another project of the club called Pedaling for a Purpose.
Yes, Pedaling for a Purpose. We're in our 5th year this year, I think, or it might be our 4th year. But anyway, it's been multiple years, and it's a unique partnership with West 6th Brewery in Lexington, which, if you're aware of West 6th, you probably know that they have a real community involvement bent about them. They really like to be involved with the community and help people doing things in the community, especially people who are active. So Pedaling for a Purpose is a partnership with them. We host rides all summer out of West 6th, and they're all going to be on our ride calendar. And it combines education sessions. So we always start with an education session. Our education sessions are usually cycling or fitness related. Sometimes we'll have a physical therapist come in. We'll have bike shop owners come in. We'll have nutritionists come in. So people that talk about different things relating to physical activity. And then that is followed by bike rides for all levels. Some of the rides stay on the Legacy Trail. Some go to Paris. Some go out and about. And riders earn 20 cents a mile for one of our benefited charities. And so all season we're riding for a bike related charity. This year our charities are the Kentucky Mountain Biking Association, so that they can put on a clinic for kids, a mountain biking clinic for kids. Transy Bikes is our second one, and Brooks Spoke Community Bike Shop is our third one. And so every mile ridden by our riders earns money for one of those charities, and we have the days designated for that. And then riders who participate earn 1 point for each education session and 1 point for each ride, and they can earn a Pedaling for a Purpose jersey or t-shirt. So it's a great way that we partner with another entity in the community to give back to the community and to benefit some charities.
And who can participate in these rides?
Anybody can participate. And actually, if you are a cyclist and you're not particularly into group rides or riding with the Bluegrass Cycling Club, you can come to West 6. You can come to our education session. You can sign in and you can go do your own thing. If you just want to ride by yourself on the Legacy Trail, or if, say, you're bringing your child in a carrier in a trailer and you want to do that, you can have your miles count for that charity. That's another way you can get involved with not having to do a group ride if you really don't want to.
And so the monies are donated by the club and by West 6th?
Yes, the costs for the program are split by the club and West 6th. So I think the amount is $1,300 that can be earned for each charity. So that's a total of $3,900 over the course of the summer that we earn for those 3 charities if we ride enough miles, which so far every year we have.
So you've maxed out.
Yes, we have.
So, and from what I've noticed, these sessions are extremely well attended and they have a lot of energy to them.
We averaged last year about 80 people at each of our education sessions, and they started either 8 or 9 in the morning, depending on the time of year. Most of our rides are on Saturdays. We have a couple on Sundays, and when they're on Sundays, they're at 1. So you can check the calendar and see about that. But yes, I mean, our speakers too have been very good and very interesting, and I expect the same for this year. We also have a lot of new people that come to these sessions just because they're pretty accessible and they're really fun. Because when you get back, you can hang out and visit. There's things to eat. There's things to drink. So people tend to hang out and have fun afterwards.
Yeah, I've noticed people don't exactly split right after.
No, they certainly don't.
Yeah, they are a whole lot of fun. I really enjoy them. But that's not the only way that the Bluegrass Cycling Club really gives back to the community, is it?
Actually, we spend more money almost giving back to the community than we do on our members. You know, we continually try to spend more money on our members, but we keep giving more money back in the community. And we have a philanthropy committee, and they take grant applications, and they also do projects that they find on their own.
Yeah, we've given away around $20,000 for every year for a number of years now. And I always say, you know, our membership dues are amount to about $10,000 a year for the club, and we give away double that back to the community. And how we're able to do all this stuff is, as I mentioned, to the Horsey 100. It's our economic engine. But again, we've wanted to, what do we do with that money? So we do want to put it back into making riding really fun and accessible for people. We want there to be social events. We want people to really enjoy being a part of a club. But we also feel like, you know, we're we're a part of this community and we want to give stuff back, especially cycling related stuff. So yeah, it's been a big emphasis when we spend twice as much money as we take in from membership.
We have a couple of things I want to mention. We do a program with Refugee Ministries to provide bicycles for refugees who relocate here, because a lot of times they can't drive a car, they don't have a license, and they need to get to their job or to school. So we will provide bikes, helmets, and lights for refugees who need transportation. We also have provided bikes to the Chrysalis House in the past, and we've done bikes and different sorts of programs for handicapped kids who need trikes, special trikes that are specially made, that are fairly expensive and not accessible to their families outside of the programs that we do.
There are so many ways for community organizations to partner with the Bluegrass Cycling Club, because I see cycling club members out all the time in their jerseys doing bike giveaways. They just seem very, very concerned and very active and very compassionate.
Yes, I think that our club especially likes doing things in the community. We also participate with Shop with a Cop around Christmas time in Lexington, and we also participated in Woodford County and Scott County this year, where we provided bikes for some of the and bikes for the Bluegrass, which is a partnership with LM Communication. I'll let Randy talk a little more about that.
Yeah, that's a really fun time of year when you get, into the holiday season, really from Thanksgiving on. Shop with a Cop, bikes for the Bluegrass, where club is not only just donating money, but we've got members out there that are helping set up bikes and helping kids get on their bike and fit their helmet. And it's just exciting, and people really like that. So, and it's, again, our members are more than about just riding the bike for themselves. It's really about being a part of this community, giving back.
We also have a very active education committee, and they do things. They provide cycling education classes for new people for free, and also do things with various school groups when asked to come in to do bike safety and other sorts of things like that. So, really, we're always looking for community members to partner with, or people that want to do things in the community that are cycling related. We can typically help them out because we have lots of members with education and interest.
And I want to go back just a little bit to one thing that's part of the Bluegrass Cycling Club's philanthropy are grants that they give out to eligible organizations in the community.
So 2 times a year, the Philanthropy Committee offers a grant process where people can apply to us for grants, and they all have to be cycling related. And by that, I mean not that you are running a cycling event to raise money for something else, but that you're actually doing something that's related to cycling. And really, it can be anything. We've done bike racks at the Hope Center because we actually did that one, not through the grant program, but because we noticed that there were bikes laying all over the ground outside the Hope Center. And so we contacted them and said, could you use some bike racks? And they said, as a matter of fact, we could. We've helped the YMCA with bikes and helmets. And so a lot of different organizations apply to us. One of the groups that always applies is Bike Lexington, and we usually support them. So yeah, if you have something out there in the community that is bike related, look for our grant application process. We don't do huge grants. They're usually under $5,000, but that's quite a bit of money then for a lot of the things that the folks that apply for us want to do.
So who is eligible to receive these grants? Are nonprofits, neighborhood groups?
Nonprofits, neighborhood groups, community organizations, really pretty much anybody who can come with a rational approach and process and something that they need. It doesn't mean we give money to everybody who asks, but we try to if we think it's a feasible thing.
All right. Well, we're just about out of time, unfortunately. So Pam and Randy, if someone wants more information about the Bluegrass Cycling Club and its activities and its events, how you give back to the community, how can they get more information?
You can try to remember bgcycling.net, or just Google or whatever your browser of choice is, and look for Bluegrass Cycling Club, and you'll find we do have a web presence that gives all our information, and Facebook, Bluegrass Cycling Club on Facebook, and that's accessible to anybody. So those are very easy ways to find out what we're doing, especially with Facebook gives us a lot of up-to-date, to-the-minute kind of information too.
All right. Well, Randy and Pam, thank you so very much for your time today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks, Wanda.
And don't forget to tune in to Bike Talk at the same time next week for all things cycling, helping you get out, explore our towns and countryside in Lexington and beyond, all over Central Kentucky with the Bluegrass Cycling Club. Thanks for joining us. Be safe and enjoy the ride.